afternoon, colleagues. I thank you for allowing me to come into the slot. There's been a bit of a mix-up, but all is good. My topic is the architect and project manager symbiosis towards like a symphonic architecture. I wish to greet the Minister of Public Works, Mr. Thulas Nxesi, and the President of Sacpcmp, Mr. Isaac Mzimara Nkosi. And we thank Sacpcmp for inviting us, colleagues and Commissioner of Projects and Good Public. As I said, I'm Letsabisa Shongwe, ne Lirotodi. The ne is my maiden surname. I'm a professional architect, PR Arch registered, B Arch and M Arch. And I am registered with the South African Council of the Architectural Profession. I'm a registered architect, and I'm also president of the South African Council of the South African Council of the Architectural Profession. Now, we are a statutory body established in terms of Section 2 of the Profession Act number 44 of 2000. We regulate the profession and we protect the public. Now, I'm gonna just give a brief word on my undertaking on transformation before I go on to talk about coordination. Colleagues, I think that transformation it's really not a jacket that we adorn. We cannot put this jacket on. Transformation has to be an indelible undertaking to be a conduit of change. It really is the idea and the agenda of transformation is to have inner meetings with ourselves. We have to metamorphosize and come out as a different species. And I'm talking to the different I'm talking to the different social representation of our society. Yes, and this thing, okay. Now, the stuff that I like. Yes. An architect is a person who plans, designs, reviews the construction of buildings. To practice architecture means to provide services in connection with the design of buildings and the space within the site surrounding buildings that have their principal purpose for human occupancy and use. Now, this word architect comes from the Latin word architectus, which is derived from the Greek word, which is archi and tekton. Together, it's like the chief builder, like Bataki, Badipulani, architect, Mongodi, Badipulani. Now what she says is that an architect is a person who sits in and deeply extracts the client's brief from the client and listens to the tone of the brief and the agenda of the brief. The architect studies the given physical site, the social site, together with the macroclimate, the microclimate, the social agenda, the political agenda, the financial agenda, the site constraints and the city's agenda, and the site's context agenda. All these above are convened by the architect to derive a suitable building vision. Now, I would often say that a great project manager, in my opinion, is one that takes his architect to go and properly extract the client's brief. Because architects, we have that inherent ability to pull it out of them, because sometimes clients don't know what they want, but they have a feeling of where they're going. And we help you to go towards that vision. Now, this is just an example that says architecture saved a near-dead town in Bilbao. This is a museum, the Guggenheim Museum, designed by Frank Gehry. Now, it's sitting in this small little village in Bilbao. Yeah, what does that mean? So what? But I could tell you that this town was dying. This architecture decided to be brave with his professional team and to go out of the ordinary and create a highly elaborate, explosive building, and that helped to reignite the city and bring back tourism back into Spain. Now, architects and project managers towards a symphonic architecture. The architect was known as the master builder. I mean, that's historic. And it has come to be that the rise of the complex building projects and the shorter construction time gave rise to the project manager in construction, which is all good. It's really just fine, because with a very condensed program, it allows the architect to focus on what she loves and what she does best, which is conceiving a built solution that will inspire us, contain us, enthuse us, heal us, add to our revenue, and to associate us. Our cities are shaped by visionaries. Now, the architect is inherently the author of the project. Yes, the architect, she exists better with a project manager from the built environment, like the quantity surveyor, the structural engineer, and perhaps even another architect profession. But also other role players in the built environment are coming to the fore. And I'm finding that those that are deeply conversant in the built environment are also becoming really supportive project managers. Now, there are gray areas. It is no lie that exists between the project manager and the architect. And this is largely because of the role of principal agency, whether it's the principal agent or is the architect or is it the project manager. As architects, our belief is that the project manager could do with surgically defining the scope of work as well as thrashing it out together with their architect. The roles they play in building the building project. Now, this scope of work, thrashing out, has to take place very early on in the project. Very, very early on. It's about building that environment that is conducive for your architect to come in and explain ideas to you, and at the same time that you feel that you can be able to push your agenda with your architect as well as the other professionals in the team. Another gray area of expertise between the two is coordination. A lot of the times, it is not clear whose role is it. Is it going to be the architect to coordinate the project, or is it going to be the project manager? And this is largely when it comes to the disciplines of the quantity surveyor and the electrical engineer and the structural, mechanical, and wet services engineering. It has always been inherently the role of the architect, and actually we still prefer that it should remain that way, because you have an ongoing visual articulation of the building that is happening behind in your space, in your mind, regarding the ceiling void space and regarding the floor void space. So it's better that coordination remains with the architect. But I know with these lovely softwares, with the BIM softwares and BIM protocols, it helps for everyone to coordinate. But a good project manager still leaves that to the architect. Architects' understanding of a project manager's role is to bring the project to close out, to the client's quality specifications within the client's budget and the scheduled time. My experience of great project managers are one that truly understand the good asset that they have in their architect. A great project manager that is loved by the architect is one that runs the project by the architect and the project team prior to the final submission of the client. This means that, from the very onset, you got to sit with your project plan and sit with your architect and ensure that you have provided enough time for your architect to create this masterpiece that you are also going to. Because unfortunately, when you leave at 5, we sit with this. In traffic, we sit with this. At home, you sit with this. You're cooking, you're sitting with this. But that's because of where we're going. The architect has the trained ability to explain and help substantiate a need. Now, I find that from experience as I do run a practice, is that a lot of the times you find that you would wish that, if only my project manager had taken me to that meeting, I know that we would have won that discussion. Because you're just born and also you're just born and trained with that ability to be able to explain the idea and the need back to the client. And I feel that also that a great project manager is one that engages the architect, the QS, and allows the QS to keep the contingency amounts in the project. Because It helps with as you define the scope further and further and you're perfecting the building. Architects find that the project manager who engages them, architects find that project managers often engage them a bit too late in the project. I have seen this. We would be approached by our project managers and then the scheme is already done up. But unfortunately, had we engaged from stage 1 and stage 2, we would have quickly derived the concept. And at that time, that's when the QS will capture that, and then they will fund that concept, and then the amount would sit well within the project. Yes, ma'am, I'm almost done in a second. Now, project manager, colleague, when a fragment of an idea comes in, dial your architect. We can conceive this vision together. A great project manager that is loved by the architect is one that includes also all the escalations that are in the... No. By escalation, I'm talking about time. You gotta factor in escalation. I'm talking about time, because clients take their time. And then I am nearly done. I will skip down to the bottom. Yes, and of course, we got to always avoid excessive VOs, and you avoid excessive VOs by properly ascertaining the budget from the beginning. Architects love project managers who do not use the term cost saving, but rather bring in the project within budget. Cost saving did not apply to beautiful spaces like in Italy and France and Shanghai. That's where tourists forever enthralled by the architecture, which equals revenue. Now, okay, architects, our agenda is to champion your objectives. We thank you for this lovely talk. And the ma'am has asked me to go from our council. Thank you.